My name is Arlo Whitman and I am 67 years old. I paid every bill in that house, the mortgage, the water, the electricity, the insurance, the internet, the groceries stacked neatly in a refrigerator I filled with my retirement savings. And yet, on that cold October evening, I stood on the porch holding one suitcase, watching the porch light flicker above me while my own son locked the door. What Daniel and his wife didn't know was this. The house had never stopped being mine. And the notice had already been sent. The loneliness that led me there. After my wife Alina passed away, silence became my worst enemy. 42 years of marriage doesn't disappear quietly. It lingers in coffee cups left on the wrong side of the sink. It hides in the smell of lavender in a linen closet. It echoes in hallways at night. When Alina died, I felt like half a house with no foundation. Daniel came to me 2 weeks after the funeral. "Dad," he said gently, "you shouldn't be alone. Sell the house, move in with us." His wife Marissa nodded sympathetically beside him. "We'd love that, Arlo. You can be close to us, to your future grandkids." Future grandkids. That word alone softened my grief. So I sold the house Alina and I built from scratch. I walked through every room one last time before signing the papers. I touched the kitchen counter where she used to knead dough. I stood in our bedroom and whispered goodbye. The money from that sale became my security. And then slowly it became theirs. The offer that changed everything. Daniel admitted they were behind on their mortgage. "It's temporary," he assured me, "just a rough patch." Without hesitation, I offered to help. "I'll cover the payments," I said, "consider it my contribution." At the time, I thought I was strengthening family bonds. In reality, I was removing my leverage. I paid the mortgage directly from my account. I handled the property taxes. When the water heater broke, I replaced it. When the roof leaked, I paid the contractor. For the first year, they thanked me constantly. By the second year, gratitude turned into routine. By the third, it became entitlement. Becoming a guest in my own investment. It happened gradually. My recliner was moved from the living room because it didn't match the decor. My tools were boxed up to make space in the garage. My wife's photo disappeared from the mantel. I found it later in a drawer. That one hurt more than anything else. Marissa wanted a cleaner look, Daniel explained. A cleaner look. As if Alina's memory was clutter. Then came the small humiliations. "Could you eat earlier, Arlo?" Marissa asked one evening. "Daniel and I like dinner alone sometimes. Maybe try not to use the washing machine after 8. We need the guest room for friends next month." Guest room. They were talking about my bedroom. I told myself not to be sensitive. I told myself this was adjustment, compromise, blending families. But deep down, I felt myself shrinking inside walls I was paying for. The whisper I was meant to hear. One afternoon, I came home early from a doctor's appointment and heard Marissa on the phone. "Yes, once he transfers the deed, it'll be simpler," she said quietly. "It's basically ours anyway." My chest tightened. Transfer the deed. I never said anything that day. But the next morning, I visited a lawyer. I confirmed what I already knew: the property was in my name, every payment had come from my account. Legally, I was the sole owner. "Do you want to transfer ownership?" my lawyer asked. I thought of Alina's picture in a drawer. "No," I said calmly, "but I'd like protection." So we prepared documents. Just in case. The eviction that wasn't mine. The confrontation came 2 months later. Marissa suggested assisted living. "You'd have people your age," she said sweetly. "I have people my age," I replied. "They're called friends." Daniel avoided my eyes. "Dad, we think it might be best." "Best for who?" That night they gave me brochures. The next night they gave me a deadline. "If you're not willing to consider it," Daniel said carefully, "maybe you should find somewhere else." Somewhere else. I looked at my son, the boy whose scraped knees I bandaged, whose college tuition I paid without blinking, whose first car I co-signed for. And I realized something painful. He wasn't seeing me as his father anymore. He was seeing me as an obstacle. So I packed one suitcase. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. And when I stepped outside, Daniel locked the door. Click. The notice arrives. 3 days later, they received certified mail. A formal 30-day eviction notice. Addressed to them. Daniel called me immediately. Dad, what is this? It's legal, I said calmly. You can't do this. I can, I replied, the house is mine. The silence on the line felt heavier than anger. Marissa grabbed the phone. You're being vindictive. No, I said quietly, I'm being visible. 30 days of reckoning. I stayed with my old friend Martin. He didn't ask for money, he didn't make me feel like a burden, he simply said, stay as long as you need. I slept better on his old couch than I had in that house for years. But I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. I asked myself hard questions. Did I raise Daniel to depend on comfort? Did I mistake financial support for emotional closeness? Did I give so much that he forgot how to stand on his own? On day 22, Daniel asked to meet. He looked exhausted. Marissa's pregnant, he said. The news should have filled me with joy. Instead, it filled me with complicated silence. Congratulations, I said. He swallowed. Dad, I messed up. Those words cracked something open in me. The choice. On day 29, I returned to the house. Boxes lined the driveway, they were preparing to leave. Marissa wouldn't look at me. Daniel walked up slowly. Is there really no other way? There was, I said gently, it was called respect. Then I handed him a folder. Inside was not a deed transfer. Not forgiveness wrapped in paperwork. But a lease agreement. Fair market rent, utilities shared, my bedroom permanently restored, my wife's photo back on the mantle, clear boundaries. If you want to stay, I said, we do this properly. Marissa looked stunned. You'd still let us stay. I won't be used, I said, but I won't destroy my family either. Daniel signed first. Marissa followed. Rebuilding from equal ground. The first months were uncomfortable. They paid rent. On time. The tone in the house changed. I stopped overpaying for groceries, I stopped fixing problems without being asked, I stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. Instead, I started living again. I joined a woodworking class, I reconnected with old friends, I took short trips, I built a cradle for my grandson with my own hands. When the baby was born, Daniel called me first. Dad, he's here. The first time I held that little boy, something inside me softened. Not weakened, softened. Marissa, exhausted and vulnerable, looked at me differently. Thank you for staying, she whispered. It wasn't dramatic. But it was real. The real lesson. I am Arlo Whitman, 67 years old. And here is what I learned too late and just in time. If you give without boundaries, people forget the cost. If you sacrifice without clarity, people assume ownership. If you silence your hurt, others assume you feel none. Standing up for yourself doesn't destroy family. It defines it. That quiet click of the door once sounded like rejection. Now I understand it differently. It was the sound of illusion closing. And dignity opening. Today, my grandson runs through hallways that are legally and emotionally balanced. Daniel works harder, Marissa shows more respect. And I live in that house not as a wallet. Not as a guest. But as the man who built his life brick by brick and finally remembered his worth. Sometimes love means giving everything. But sometimes, it means drawing a line. And daring the people you love to meet you on the other side.